everybody. Good morning. Here we go. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Lord knows I'm ready now. It just hit me out of the blue. All of a sudden I knew just what to do. No hesitating, no wasting time. Opportunities knocking at the show is mine, and I'm ready. Yeah, 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 yeah. Lord knows I'm ready now. Gonna take some strength, stand my ground, not let sorrow knock me down. Oh no, might be afraid, but that's okay, because the Lord knows where there is a will, there is a way. Already. Yeah, 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 yeah. You know I'm ready now. Yes, I am. I'm ready. Whoa, whoa. Lord knows I'm ready now. Oh, that's right. Well, nothing can stop me, not before. Now every wall is a wide open door. Through any darkness, Lord, I can shine. It's been a long time in coming, but it's right on time, and I'm ready. Yeah, 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 yeah. You know I'm ready now. Oh, yes, you know I'm ready. You know I'm ready now. Yes, I'm ready. Oh, yes, I am. You know I am. Oh, yeah. All right. Thank you. Good morning.
I know I'm ready. How about you? You want ready enough to stand up and sing? I'll get there. Here we go.
All right. How can I serve today, sweet Spirit? How can I serve today, oh Lord? Speak in ways that I will understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. It's my love of today, sweet Spirit. Out of who needs my love today, oh Lord? you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go.
And we're going to keep going, aren't we?
Pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Wonderful Spirit, here we go. Pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Wonderful Spirit, pour your love in me, pour yourself into my heart. Wonderful Spirit, pour your love in me, pour your love into my heart. Wonderful Spirit, shine your life in me, pour your life into my heart. Wonderful Spirit, pour your life in me, pour your life into my heart. Wonderful Spirit,
Pour yourself now.
pour yourself in me, oh yeah, pour yourself into my heart. Wonderful Spirit, pour yourself in me, come on and pour yourself into my heart. Wonderful Spirit, yeah.
Good morning, Unity Church of Overland Park. It is so good to be home.
Welcome
I have
back.
dusted off the snow and dusted off that Chiefs loss. That was a rough one.
You know, I wore a little bit of red and a little bit of or yellow, but I wore a lot of blue because I thought you and many joining us would be kind of feeling blue, this morning from the
Feeling
Chiefs'
blue.
loss. That was a tough one.
Well,
That was a tough one.
It was, and I so appreciate that you let everyone know I had my red shoes with me. But also, Travis Kelce was watching the stream and was texting, blowing up my phone, I need the shoes, I need the shoes. Why are they in Colorado? I need the shoes. And I'm telling you what, I had to wash them, put them in the dryer to get them to shrink back to my foot
He stretched
size.
them out a little
He stretched
bit.
them out a little bit. But, all right, there's always next season.
That's true.
And what a wonderful, tremendous season we had from those fellas, yeah?
Yes.
All right, yes. I got to take the hits with the wins.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I am so delighted to be here with you this morning. As you know, this is Ask a Minister Sunday, and myself and Reverend Eileen and our soon-to-be minister, the soon-to-be Reverend Lily Sandberg, will be joining us. Now, so far we have received one question.
It's going to be a long answer.
And it has a short answer.
You got to fill 20 minutes with that
Exactly.
answer.
It has a short answer, so I'm going to read it very slowly. But our solution is, and you see Kathy back there waving the bag, is you all should have received maybe a slip of paper, something to write with, is that while you're sitting here, if a question comes to mind, and we're talking theological type questions, maybe about unity teachings, maybe about scripture, maybe just some musings or ponderings that you have, go ahead and jot that down. Kathy will collect them in the bag and bring them up, and we'll just pull from the hat and see how many we can get through without running into lunchtime. So we'll be watching the time on that. But so please join along and play the game, if you will. We also have some other ideas that we'd be willing to share with you if you really don't have any questions. That's okay. But stroke that curiosity a little bit and open up. So let's center in this morning into that one power, one presence, animating each and every one of us. We acknowledge and affirm that we are here today by divine appointment, and we accept this appointment eagerly, gratefully, joyfully, as we gather in spiritual community. We gather in the knowing of our oneness, one with each other and with everyone on this planet, one with all of life. Grateful for the knowing that all that has been, all that is, and all that will be is here now with us, in us, as us. We bless this day by the making of our own curiosity, by the making of our own intentions. We create life as we see fit from our highest self, from our highest intentions, and for the good of all. For we know and affirm that if it is good for me, if it is good for you, it is good for all of us. So we swim in this knowing, in the safety of God's love. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. And from that higher self within each of us, would you join with me in repeating this statement of spiritual truth together? There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, the source of all good.
And we are blessed always.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Join us.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Thank you, Kelley, Fred, James, Terry, and thank you for everybody who's making this service possible. And I just want to say we appreciate how everybody's been so supportive and respectful of one another as we navigate this pandemic. And we're doing so with the primary focus of well-being for all.
And so we are. So, and thank you to Terry for interpreting for us, and Joan for pushing buttons. Okay, have you ever opened a book in the Bible, read a little bit, and felt lost? If so, you'll want to join us for our upcoming series, Lost in Translation. In this 3-week series, beginning next Sunday, Reverends Jacquie and Eileen will speak to particular readings of Scripture and offer meetings that can help us find deeper and more meaningful teachings in them than what lies at the surface. I am always amazed at the different interpretations. I'm like, what? So it's fascinating to me.
And there's a wonderful mini retreat being offered by Womankind Live. It's a partnership between Unity Temple on the Plaza and Unity Church of Overland Park. On Saturday, February 19th, there will be a retreat at the Plaza from 9 to 12:30. The theme this year is loving kindness, and you'll have the opportunity to learn from master teachers on how to nurture your divine feminine spirit while connecting with like-minded participants from across the Kansas City community. The cost is $25, and information on the schedule, presenters, music, vendors, and more are available on the website womankind.live, as well as our website and the weekly e-news.
Sounds exciting. And if you are interested in becoming a member of the Unity Church of Overland Park, The next new member orientation will be offered via Zoom on Thursday, February 17th, and Thursday, February 24th. The sessions will take place from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and offer overviews of the history of unity, of UCOP, and ways that you can become more involved with our ministry. Anyone interested can sign up for the class online on our website via the link provided in our weekly e-news or by contacting the church office.
And now together, let's speak the joint vision statement of the Unity Movement. Together, a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening.
No, few of us. It's kind of nice because if you've had a weird week or you had a great week, prayer is there. Isn't that nice? Like, it doesn't matter if you had the absolute best week and everything went right or the complete opposite and not a single thing was in your favor. Prayer is there and always available. So let's take a moment to connect in with that prayerful space within us. Some people find it comforting to close your eyes. Other people will put their hand over their heart. Just take a moment to get comfortable in this space. If there is anything that is weighing on your mind or on your heart, I invite you to just let it be there, hold it close, and know that God is in that too. And as we take a deep breath in, we settle into this now moment, knowing that our breath always carries a message for us. On the inhale, it is taking in what is ours. On the pause, it is getting present in this now moment. And on the exhale, it is releasing what is no longer ours. And so join me in that rhythm of breath, of the taking in, of the presencing of the now moment, and of releasing on the exhale. And we know that in each breath, in each moment, in each circumstance, in each person, God is there. In each moment of pain or suffering, strife, doubt, fear, God is also there too. In those moments of joy and celebration, compassion and abundance, God is there too. And right here and right now, God is here too. And with that knowledge and through that power, we take a moment to say amen. And if you have anything that is still weighing on your mind and your heart, we have some wonderful prayer chaplains in our community to be able to support you in that process. So if you are a prayer chaplain on duty today, will you raise your hand so people can see you? Perfect. We've got Donna. We've got Tiff. Oh my gosh, I just lost your name. Dorothy. Oh my goodness. Hi, Dorothy. And Ruth Ann. Thank you for all serving today. And will you join me in our prosperity and abundance blessing together? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am joy-filled and grateful. And so it is.
Can you imagine joy? Can you imagine peace? Can you imagine love? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Let's do it again. Here we go. Can you imagine joy? Can you imagine peace this morning? Can you imagine love, love, love? Yes, I can. That's right. Yes, I can. One love, one heart. Oh, let's get together and feel all right. Here we go. One love, one heart. Oh, let's get together and feel all right. Can you imagine? Can you imagine joy? Joy, joy. Can you imagine peace right here, right now? Can you imagine love? Yes, I can. Oh, yes, I can. Can you imagine joy? Well, can you imagine peace in my heart? Can you imagine love, love, love? Yes, I can. That's right. Yes, I can. Here we go now. One love, one heart. Oh, let's get together and feel all right. Sing it with me. One love, oh, one heart. Oh, let's get together and feel all right. Can you imagine? Can you imagine joy? Oh, yeah. Can you imagine peace? Do you feel it this morning? Can you imagine love? Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can. One love, everybody. One love, one heart. Oh, let's get together and feel all right. One more time now. One love, one heart. Oh, let's get together and feel all. Let's get together and feel all right. One love, one heart. Oh, yeah.
Let's get together. Let's have a conversation. Oh, oh,
Oh yeah, hot
okay.
seat for
Hot
you.
seat for me.
You're back.
I'm back. So good to be back. All right. So we had one question that came in.
Yeah.
Guess what? It wasn't for us. We had one question for Mahnaz. Thank you. We have more questions. I knew you were a curious bunch, but the one question that came in actually was immediately after the service in which Mahnaz Shabbir was here. Come on up. And here, you hold that. You hold that. See how that worked out? And the question was, if you remember, she talked about, so if you missed the service, Mahnaz Shabbir is a practicing Muslim and an activist in Kansas City, an educator, a wonderful woman. And so we had her come in and we just talked about what it means to be a woman of faith, of course, her perspective being from being a Muslim woman. And she shared with us that as a child, her grandmother taught her the Muslim prayers and practices. And so the question was, what compelled her as she grew older to hold fast to those? Because if you remember, she shared that she wasn't wearing her headpiece until after she went to Mecca. And so that was just about 2010. And so the question was, what compelled her to stay with her Muslim teachings? And so I asked her, and she gave this response and said it was okay to share. I never questioned my faith. It's a matter of knowledge. As I grew older, I learned more. Life events also assist in the religious journey and knowledge. And like she said, she is on her own spiritual journey, just like we are. And that just happens to be the context for her. So great question. Thank you for that. And I guess we have some more.
You want to pick? You want?
Sure. Okay, oh boy. Okay, so this is a church business question. I'm going to save this, and we'll share this question and answer at the next sharing circle. So we'll save those kinds of questions for that. Oh boy.
This is a good one.
Okay.
Where do the Old Testament teachings fit within unity?
Oh. They look at me.
I mean, you are the Bible
Bible,
one.
right out of the gate with Bible. Old Testament, everybody take a deep breath. Because when you think of the Old Testament God, what comes to mind? Fear, wrath, the wrath of God, wars. What else? Judgment,
Separation.
separation. Anything else? Yeah. Fire and brimstone, right? That Bible thumping preacher. Okay, so let's back out of that just a little bit. Because who wrote the Old Testament? People. So the Old Testament is a collection of writings by people about their ideas of life, community, government, God. So what's really important for us to keep in mind anytime we read any writing of any kind, whether it's Rumi, Brene Brown, Wayne Dyer, whoever, Bible, is that there are people telling a story and telling a story for a reason and telling it in a particular way for a reason. So the questions we arrive with as we approach the page are, why is this person telling this story, and why are they telling it this way? What do they want me to know? What is important to them? So they're pointing, and Rumi says this, right? It's the finger pointing to God. So it's this person's truth and understanding of God. You also have yours, equally as valid. So when we ask the question again, which is what does the Old Testament have to do with anything, and especially unity, Eileen, Reverend Eileen, what is your answer to the relevance of unity and Old Testament?
Well, just taking what you just said, I mean, parts of my life have been filled with fear. I have had vengeance, directed towards me. I have felt separated from myself as well as from other people. And so, in a way, I can relate to the person or persons who wrote those stories centuries ago and learn from that as to, well, I don't like that. This is uncomfortable. I don't believe that. And tell my own story from where I am at a given point in time, what my beliefs may be or not be. And it's mine. And you can accept it or not, or you can agree with pieces of it or not. And so, I moved from being in that is just garbage perspective to no, there's richness, even in things I don't agree with today.
So do you eat shrimp?
No.
Oh, you don't like seafood?
I like some seafood, but not shrimp.
But not shrimp. Do you eat shrimp?
Yes.
Do you eat shrimp? Yeah. Okay, so 37 times in the Old Testament do not eat shellfish, right? So when people want to pick and pull things out of the Old Testament to fit a narrative, just remember, do you eat shrimp? What about you?
Well, I think one of the things that I really like about the Old Testament, and I have grown in a lot of this, because the Old Testament, well, really the Bible, was not a big piece of my church growing up. But in learning and really taking a deep dive into this material, I like the characters a lot in the Old Testament, being able to highlight a variety of women in the Old Testament who were doing incredibly radical, deeply spiritual, terrifying things at times. I appreciate seeing those stories. And I appreciate being able to see some of the minor prophets have a space that so often when we only see the story of Jesus, we don't see the forebearers and the stories and the context of which Jesus was living and working and being miraculous in. And so it gives us context for the greater story and the greater evolution into the New Testament. And I think it's a great starting place and sometimes a really challenging place to dive into through a metaphysical context of being able to see what is potentially a deeper meaning in this, or through the maieutic process of what is this story reflecting for me in my world, or how is this my story? Like Eileen was saying, being able to connect to the fear of some of those characters. I also connect with some of the bravery of those characters, or the questions of those characters, the doubts of those characters. And being able to have that piece added into it, I think can bring the Old Testament to life. And that's part of unity, because I also think it gives us a framework for being able to have those conversations, those interfaith conversations of people who may cherish and love and be really entrenched in the Old Testament. That for unity, if we want to be able to see the oneness in each other, we have to have some common ground, and sometimes that means go into that Old Testament Hebrew scriptures part of the Bible to be able to have those conversations.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's a path to oneness and connection. Absolutely. Yeah. It is such a shared context, right? We have, especially in U.S. culture, a shared context of Bible. And let's see what I want to say. There is an ownership over the narrative of it by people who identify as Christian. And so in unity, it often makes people not want to identify as Christian so as not to be mistaken for someone who ascribes to that certain narrative, which is often against unity teachings and ideologies. So for me, I love to reclaim that, because I don't want people who love Scripture to and who use it to oppress and abuse others to be the ones who define it. So for me, I love what Myrtle and mainly Charles Fillmore did with Scripture in terms of metaphysical interpretation, because it helps us loosen the grip on just taking the words on the page and feeling like, okay, well, I guess there it is. There's the truth. I just have to go with that. Where we get to put ourselves in the story. It's very Jungian, right? If you are familiar with Carl Jung in dream interpretation, you are everyone in your dream. That's the similar process of metaphysical interpretation. Everything in the story is in your mind, represents something in your mind. And then you get to reflect on, well, how do I connect with the Israelites? How do I connect with the Egyptians? What part of me is enslaving another part of me? What part of me is fighting for freedom? What part of me is connected with the divine? What part of me is lost in the wilderness? And we get to ask those questions, and all of a sudden, that which felt very distant and foreign to us becomes very familiar and meaningful and powerful. Let's have another question.
Okay, this can apply to all three of us. What experiences jump-started your spiritual journey?
Go for it.
Feeling no relationship with spirit whatsoever in my life. I denied that or bottled it up for a long time, and then it was just too loud of a voice within me that there's nothing there. And I realized it was because of the teachings that I had been brought up with and my 40 years of active membership in my family's faith tradition of Catholicism. I just didn't agree with it anymore. And when I got the courage and the bravery and so forth to say I'm done, I didn't have anywhere else to go. It wasn't that I left Catholicism to go to another house of worship the following Sunday or Saturday. And so what I did was just do a lot of reading. I found myself being guided to authors like Carolyn Mace and Neil Donald Walsh back in the days, and just read things that did start to resonate with my heart about a God that was one of love and had many different names and showed up in many different houses of worship and everywhere else on the street. And my heart started to sing. And then that was about an 18-month journey before I stepped into another church with an intention of going to a service, and that was a Unity Church in Houston, where I was living at the time. So it was an initial jump start, but then an 18-month journey into discovering what really, really did resonate with me, that I could connect with and find a place where I could express that. And that's how, again, once I found Unity, things just really started to jump start in many different ways. So that's mine.
Beautiful.
I had known I wanted to be in ministry from a very young age, but had really denied that. And so when I think back to what was the catalyst of being able to embrace and truly show up as a future minister, was a talk that who I claim is my childhood minister, Reverend Jude Denning, gave. And it was a talk on love. And Jude has this way, she still does, where she gets so into the moment. And so I remember her walking on stage after an incredible solo, and she had kicked off her shoes and she was dancing in the aisles. She gets onto the platform barefoot, and she says, "I am love, now repeat after me." And it just keeps going for minutes and minutes, and people are on their feet and yell it and claim it, and they are crying, because being able to say, "I am love," from the top of your lungs in a space where the people around you are doing that too, it was the most electric moment in a church I have still ever felt. And so that went on for about 5 minutes. And then it was like this collective sigh, and we all sat down, and then she cracked a joke about how if she had stayed on script, she would have been talking about sleep at that moment. And it was just that minute for me of not only being able to see someone be able to lead with such depth and such spiritual abandon, just letting Spirit flow through her, as her, and empower us to claim the truth of who we are, but also do it in the most perfect way that was her, of barefoot and as a strong woman on a stage in ministry. And that was the moment that it was like, yep, I'm doing that. Whatever that is, that's where I am. And it was really, that was the catalyst for me to be able to step up into that version of who I am, because Jude and so many others had made a space for me to be able to do that.
Beautiful. For me, I learned to pray when I was 3. Hail Mary, full of grapes. The Lord is with thee. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, right?
Of course.
And I just thought my grandma had a really strange way of saying grapes, grace. And I was like, that's what I said, grapes, grapes. So I always felt that connection with God, and I always felt compelled, even as a young child, to pray. I prayed on my own. When I got my first Bible at the age of 8, I would read it. It made no sense to me, but I thought I should, and before I prayed, and so I would do that. I remember when I was 13 having a conversation with my stepdad, in which he described, just consider that creation might have gone like this. Maybe in some far-off planet, there are aliens, people, and they travel to a planet. They land, and they say, "This is my son, with whom I am well pleased. Do as he says," right? And so he paints this picture of aliens populating planet Earth, and it kind of just blew my mind, because I thought I had never questioned the creation story, and so I got kind of mad that maybe that wasn't exactly it. And so I kind of rebelled against the whole God idea and God story, and claimed myself to be an atheist. And I got very mad at God as an atheist, but I was mad at God. Yeah. I was 13, people. And then when I was a sophomore in marching band, I'm nerd all the way, okay? So I was in marching band, and a trombone player who was a senior, I asked her where she was going to college, and she was going to seminary to be a missionary. And I had questions for her that I thought for sure I was going to shake her faith and change her path. I mean, my goodness. She just handled everything with just such grace and patience. And when I got to questions about God that are impossible to answer, and I was like, but I got you. You can't answer that. She's like, well, how would you feel if I talked to my youth pastor? And maybe he could call you, or I could just share with you, or you could come to youth group. I don't know about that, but I was like, sure, give it a try, because I'm like, there's no way. Well, this guy was so nice and just talked to me. He didn't try to answer my questions. He just listened, and he just talked to me. And so, of course, I started going to the youth group. And from that point forward, I figured out that it was okay to ask questions without that rebellious sort of, need to find what's right and wrong, but to be in the I don't know, but what's possible, what's here, what's there. And so I began searching for churches in which there was a minister or pastor that I felt I could ask those kinds of questions to and learn from, and who was working with questions on their own. So that really is what started me on the spiritual journey. And then I fell in love with a woman, and I thought, there's no place for me in church. And so I jumped ship. I stopped praying, I stopped reading my Bible, because I had no context for a God who could love me, yet I knew God. So I couldn't make sense with what the Bible said, what people were telling me the Bible said, and what my lived experience of the divine was. And so I just stopped. And I was looking for a part-time job in 2009, and there was a church up north looking for a part-time AV director. Happened to be Unity Church. I had no idea what Unity was. And I think I shared this with you before. I walked in, there was a trans woman holding the door open for me, and gay couples, and I was like, what in the world is going on here? And it took me a good 6 months to get over my paranoia that just being in that building, I would go to hell. I mean, it was deep, deep healing for me to unwrite that abusive script, and to even just be open enough and to sort of pull out the internal homophobia that I had acquired just being in this culture. And wow, before I knew it, I was in seminary.
Can you each describe a personal spiritual aha moment in your lives which was powerful and life-changing?
That's a good question.
It is.
I'll go, because what comes to mind for me, I didn't have this word at the time, affirmative prayer, but it was the moment that I discovered affirmative prayer, and it was when Jamie was born. 52 hours. I labored at home for 48 hours. 52 hours. I know. Give me a moment here. 52 hours. And she was finally taken by emergency C-section. And 24 hours later, she started having seizures. And every time she would seize, which was constantly, she would stop breathing. So she had to be resuscitated. And this nurse, it was her first day on the job. Wow. And she resuscitated. I mean, she worked and worked and worked and stayed with it, and it was just incredible. Jamie, this was in Lawrence, Kansas. Jamie was life-flighted to Children's Mercy, and as we were waiting for the helicopter to come, I called my First Southern Baptist pastor to come pray with us, and he got there, and the medics, who looked to be all of 12, they were not 12, but they looked very young, and I just was terrified. And here they're putting my baby, this newborn baby, in, if you've ever seen the kind of incubator they pack them in, it looks, like not something you would put a baby in. So when I asked the pastor to pray before she left, and he looked at me and he said, "You pray." Oh, man, in that moment I was like, but I need you. I need God. I need someone who can get to God for me. And what he was saying was, you bring God. And I had no words, and all that could come out of my mouth was affirming what I knew to be true about Jamie. She is not my child. She belongs to you, God. She is on her own life journey. She has everything she needs to survive. And I affirmed my faith in life. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but it changed me forever, just in even how I parent and how I pray from that moment forward. Then when I found Unity several years later, I was like, oh, I know what that is. I know what affirmative prayer is. And yes, It is a different way to pray. When you come from affirming what's already true, you align your thoughts. You pull your thoughts out of fear. They might fall right back in, but you pull them out and you align them with what's already true. And then you establish that truth from the ideal into reality. That was my moment.
Mine that I can share is similar in that I didn't know how to define it until after I was in Unity for a long time, but this goes way back to the year I got married, back in 1983, and my then husband and I and a friend of his were living in Houston, and we wanted to drive back to Pittsburgh to be with our families, because both he and I were from Pittsburgh, and we didn't want to be away for Christmas. And so we decided we were going to make the 24-hour drive, and we got about within 6 hours, 4 hours or so of Pittsburgh, and a semi decided that they didn't want us on the road anymore. And what happened was that the truck came over, and we're going like, 70 miles an hour, came over, clipped us on our backside, which flipped us right in front of him, and he just kept slamming into the driver's side and for about a mile before we finally stopped. And my husband is screaming like I've never heard anybody scream. The friend behind us was screaming, and I was sitting there in the passenger side just saying, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, as we're spinning around and being pushed. I'm pregnant at the time, 3 months pregnant with our first child, and we all survived. Paramedics were behind us, off duty, but they came back around, told us later they expected to pull dead bodies out of the car. And we celebrated Christmas in Pittsburgh with our family. And as I look back at that 30 years or 20 years later when I'm in Unity and such, what I realized was that in that moment, I was at peace. I was not afraid. I was affirming that everything was okay. And I wasn't telling them to be quiet or stop screaming. I was just in my own space, and I realized that's possible. And that was God. And for whatever reason, that it was for me to experience that and not everybody in the car. I don't know for them. But it taught me that no matter what's going on, in the midst of feeling like you're going to die, or hearing it from other people, there is a peace that literally goes beyond all understanding. And it brought me through that. Our baby was fine. It was a car that got wrecked, that was it. But my life changed forever after that, and then immensely changed once I had the relationship with God that I just shared a few moments ago, and thought, that was what that was. And that is possible in the midst of chaos, in the midst of fear, in the midst of things that are completely out of your control, as well as sitting right here with friends and family and just enjoying each other's company. That is a constant, and I've never forgotten that. And I've shared this many times, that peace and contentment are more important to me in my life than anything else.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have anything dramatic.
Oh, come on.
But I think for me, one of those ahas, because I have grown up with these teachings, was the moment I actually started to believe it. And what has been so powerful for me, and really has been the thing that I have worked with so much, is that each and every one of us is fully human and fully divine. And that concept, to be able to give a framework for all of the goodness and all of the pain and all of the compassion and all of the poverty and all of the fear and all of the lack and all of the everything, fully human and fully divine, each and every one of us. And so it has given me not only a personal responsibility to be able to find a balance of being fully human in this world and also fully divine in this world, because that is not an easy job, but also extending that knowledge and extending that grace when someone is being so freaking human and not at all divine, that I can just say, whew, all right, there's some divinity there. I can't see it. I'm working towards it. It's not my job to be anything other than fully human and fully divine in that moment. And knowing that those are symbiotic pieces of us that are both fully embodied in each moment and can be skillfully attuned and brought into each moment is such a powerful realization for how I am understanding the world. All of the good, all of the bad, all of the everything. Knowing that we are humans in this world, and as humans, we are fully human and fully divine, lets me know that even in the midst of all of the stuff that we wish we could turn away from, there is God in that too. Because there is divinity in each person in that too. And that has been so hard and so powerful for me to be able to take that not only from a head understanding, but a heart understanding to an action place of being able to know that for everyone I get to meet.
Beautiful. So let's take one more. Let's take one more from my bag. And then if you're watching online, feel free to type a question into the chat, either on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll check that, and we'll give one question to the online.
Well, this is 4 questions, so
Oh boy.
let's see. I'll pick one. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any words of wisdom you would tell your younger minister self?
I am my younger minister self.
What's that make me?
Smooth, huh? You are also your younger minister
Okay.
self, right?
Sure, I'll
Time
take
is
it.
not real.
I think what I would tell myself is that you are worthy and you are loved.
Beautiful.
How about you?
Can I take that?
Sure, I'll share.
I like that. Listen and stay true.
Release what you thought this was going to be. You know, that I came into ministerial school thinking that church was going to be a whole other ballgame and ministry was going to be totally different. Release what you think it's going to be and just show up and do what's yours to do.
That's good. That's real good.
I'm not even a minister yet, y'all.
You're like 5 minutes from it. You are 5 minutes from it. All right, I'm looking at YouTube. Will you look at Facebook?
Yep.
All right.
I have a PM on Facebook if you don't see
Okay,
one.
all right. Oh, well, Kelley is awesome.
Yeah, we got a lot.
We got
of
a Kelley is
that, y'all.
awesome. Kelley Hunt's bringing it. Yes, she is. Okay. All right, YouTube, you had your chance.
Okay, our question is, what 12 power are you working on right now?
Oh, that's good. I've been working with, I'll go first because I'm hearing, well, January is the month for faith, and I worked with that. I worked with faith. January is an important month for me spiritually. January 26th, specifically, was the first, in 2019, was the first day I ever spoke at UCOP. Also in 2014, January 26th was the first day I ever spoke at Unity Spiritual Center in Springfield, Missouri, and I became their minister the following year. So there's like something there, and there's Burning Bull, there's White Stone, and so when I learned that the 12 powers were linked to months, and faith being that first power of the year, that just became very important to me, renewing my faith. Understanding when I receive my White Stone word, how does faith fit into that power? And let's kick it off all together. So that is the power I've been working with. Strength is February, so we'll switch gears.
I have been working on the power of imagination. It's been one of my growth areas, is being able to let myself break out of a black and white and be able to be attuned to my own creativity and my own expression of imagination. And as my mom says, what are you doing for your right brain, which is all about your creativity and your making and your connection. And so This year is one of my 2022 commitments to myself. I don't call them resolutions, I call them commitments to myself, is to be able to tap into my imagination on a daily basis. And so that has looked like making things with my hands. It's looked like buying paints for myself. That's looked like being able to express my words in the written form that's not a paper for school. And being able to be more imaginative, not only for myself and through myself, but also cultivating a community of creative, imaginative folks around me is the power I'm working on.
Beautiful.
Well, back on September 1st, when I got in my car to drive here from northern Michigan, where I had been living for, thank you. I set an intention because anytime you leave a job, you leave a relationship, you leave a home, whatever, there is a year that goes by that you're still a part of that because moments come up, anniversaries come up, special dates, come up. And so I am giving myself a year from September to this September to allow the closure from Traverse City, Michigan, and the integration back here to UCOP to unfold and to do so with ease and enough grapes as possible.
Yeah.
And so the 12th power that relates to that for me would be the process of release, the process of elimination, and just, again, creating closure while opening many different doors and new doors here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right.
Should we meditate and
I
pray a little
suppose we should
bit?
meditate. Let's have a little music to get us in that meditative mode.
I think
Thank you for your
Fred's ready.
questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
In the presence of the one, in the presence of the truth, all is here, all is hope, all is well, all is well. In the presence of the one, in the presence of truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well, all is in the presence of the one, in the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well, all is well, all is well.
And centering into this now moment, knowing that all is well, I invite you to just feel the chair underneath you, supporting you, and take a moment of appreciation for your body. The body that brought you here, the body that sustains life, the body that is doing all that it can. And as we connect with our body, sending appreciation throughout our physical temple, we take a moment to tap into our mind. knowing that our mind is just a piece of who we are. And so if your mind is wandering or it wanders throughout this meditation, I invite you to just say, I'll come back to you. And we take a moment to focus on our heart and the heart space, knowing that this is our connection to love, our connection to each other. And just check in on your heart. Is it full? Is it needing something? Just tap in, knowing that your whole person, your mind, your heart, your body, your spirit are all welcome here. Each and every piece of you as you are is good and holy and important. And if you can't believe that, we will hold that torch for you and with you. And I invite you to just continue breathing with that knowing.
Four words that were offered to me as I stepped into a Unity church that changed the trajectory of my life forever were Christ within and original blessing. Christ within that told me, that tells you that I was created, we were created by a loving power and presence. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it whatever resonates with you. But it is love. And that love is a part of you and a part of me. And when that love decided to place us upon this planet, it did so in a way that made us each original, unique. No one else ever was, is, or will be exactly like each of us is in our individuality. And each of us coming into this world did so as a blessing, pure and whole in every way. The Christ within, original blessing. We take those words into our hearts and into a time of silence.
We give thanks for this opportunity to touch the stillness, for this time and space in which we connect heart to heart. We give thanks for curiosity and for the sharing of experience, of compassion, of grace. That as we hear stories of what has been given, what has been received, we deepen our own awareness of what has been given, what has been received. And we allow the heart to swell with gratitude for all that has been, that has brought us to this moment, for all that is right here, right now. And we allow our gratitude to expand into hope and into faith for what will be. For we are animated by a faithful God, Spirit, universe, holy presence. And for this truth, we are grateful. And in this truth, we move forward, returning our attention to this space, to the presence of other divine beings in the room and online, now or into the future. And we feel into our oneness.
The presence of the one, the presence of the true, all is here, all is whole, all is well, all is well. In the presence of the one, in the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well. Sing with us. In the presence of the one, in the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well. All is well. If you're ready now, if you are ready, all right, come on and go with me. No hatred, come go with me. We'll be tolerated.
Come go with me, peace and love. Come go with me, play between the races. Come go with me, alright. Love is the only transportation to where there's total communication. If you're ready, come go with me. Come on, get ready now. Come go with me. If you are able, well, come go with me. Take me by the hand now. Come go with me. No disaster. Come go with me. Will ever enter there. Come go with me. I said no wars. Come go with me. Will ever be declared there. Come go with me. Well, love is the only transportation to where there's total communication. Come on, well, come go with me. Better get ready. All right, come go with me. If you are able, come go with me. Ooh, follow me. Come go with me. Said everybody around the world. Come go with me. Everybody now. Come go with me. Oh, do you feel it? Come go with me. Let's do it together. Come go with me. All right, you know love is the only transportation to where there's total communication. Come on. Oh, yeah. You get ready now. Come go with me. Everybody, all right. Come go with me. I want you to come on and go with me. Come go with me. Everybody around the world. Ooh, come go with me. Every boy, every girl. Yeah, come go with me. All right. Come go with me. Well, oh, come go with me. Right away, right away. All right. Yeah. Oh, oh, come on now. Come on.
Thank you, Kelley. Thank you, Kelley. And as we enter into a new month, the volunteer team we'll be highlighting today is our board of directors. We're so grateful for this dedicated group that oversees the governance of the church, its strategic plan, financial and operating goals, and most importantly, always holds spiritual consciousness, the highest vision of what is possible for UCOP. Would you please join me in offering our gratitude and appreciation to our wonderful board of directors. And after the service today, everyone's invited to join us in the cafe for coffee and fellowship. And don't forget to stop by the Script fundraiser table to purchase gift cards for your everyday shopping needs. Let's keep the energy going that we had during the holidays.
And I just want to thank you to our 3 ministers. Wow, what a wonderful service, what wonderful answers, what wonderful questions. We are so blessed. Let's join in speaking our mission statement. Together, please. Unity Church of Overland Park transforms lives and empowers people to make a difference in the world. Next week, be sure to join us for the start of our Lost in Translation series. And I don't know that we need to welcome our kid here, so so we'll just go on.
Are we going to do Walking is the Light? I don't know.
We're going to sing the peace song if there are no.
We're going to sing the peace song.
Yay,
so
I
let's
love
all
the peace song.
please stand and join together.
That was meant to be.
walk with each other in perfect harmony.
Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my song now. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And please join me for the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a beautiful week.